$340. That's your savings account. Not your checking, not your investments, not your retirement fund. Your savings account. The one you've had for 18 years. The one that was supposed to be different by now. $340. You are 40 years old. You are single. You are starting from zero. And the version of yourself that was supposed to have it together by now, the house, the partner, the retirement account humming quietly in the background, that version didn't show up. This one did. You open the banking app again. The number doesn't change. $340. And somewhere between the shame of that number and the silence of a Tuesday night apartment, something shifts. Not hope exactly. Not yet. Something quieter. The specific, uncomfortable clarity of a person who has run out of reasons to wait. Chapter 1. The Accounting. Age 40. Net worth, less than you want to say out loud. You do the math on a Sunday. Not because you want to, because you've been avoiding it for 3 years, and avoidance has a compound interest of its own. You open every account simultaneously. Checking, savings, the 401k you contributed to for 4 years, then stopped when things got complicated. The number at the bottom of the page is $2,400. That's everything. That's the net. You are 40. The median net worth of Americans aged 35 to 44 is approximately $135,000 according to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances. You are not at the median. You are not close to the median. You sit with that for a while. Not in crisis, in clarity, because there is a specific kind of freedom in knowing the real number, the actual number, the one you've been soft focusing for years by not looking directly at it. The number is $2,400. It is not what you wanted, it is what you have. And what you have is a starting point, not a verdict. The first rule, the accounting is not the punishment, it is the beginning. You cannot navigate from a location you refuse to acknowledge. You write it down. $2,400. You put the date beside it. You don't hide from it. The avoidance is over. Chapter 2. The Comparison Trap. The voices that aren't helping. Everyone your age seems to have something you don't. Your college roommate just refinanced his second property. Your cousin posts about her investment portfolio on social media with the casual confidence of someone who started at 24 and never stopped. You scroll. You compare. You feel the specific weight of being behind in a race you didn't know had a leaderboard. Here's what the comparison doesn't show you. It doesn't show you the partner who helped carry that down payment. It doesn't show you the inheritance, the family loan, the decade of 2 incomes building one life. You are not behind. You are on a different timeline with a different set of variables. And your variables, single, 40, $2,400, are not a handicap. They are a starting condition. Starting conditions don't determine outcomes. Decisions from starting conditions determine outcomes. The second rule, stop measuring your Chapter 1 against someone else's Chapter 12. You don't know their full story, and they don't know yours. The only comparison that matters is you at 40 against you at 50. Close the app. Chapter 3, the single value. What nobody tells you about starting alone. You are single. And the financial world was not entirely designed for you. Mortgages assume 2 incomes. Tax brackets punish single filers. Social gatherings split costs equally between couples and individuals. The housing market prices starter homes for families, not for one person building quietly from zero. This is real. Acknowledge it. Don't minimize it. And then acknowledge something else. You have one financial decision maker. You. No negotiation, no compromise. No partner whose spending habits undo your saving habits. No one to talk you out of the automated transfer. No one to convince at the kitchen table before you start. You decide, you execute. Full stop. Single people who build wealth deliberately build it faster per decision made because every decision sticks. You have no joint agreement standing between you and the next right move. That is not a consolation prize. That is structural leverage. The third rule, being single is not a financial disadvantage. It is a concentration of decision-making authority. The person with that authority, fully exercised, is more powerful than 2 people arguing about what to do with it. Chapter 4, the rebuild. Month 1. You automate $300 a month into savings. Not because $300 is easy, because $300 is the number that doesn't break the budget and doesn't give you a reason to stop. You re-enroll in the 401k. 6% contribution. Your employer matches 4%. You are leaving 4% of free money on the table every month you weren't enrolled. You make a list of every debt, smallest to largest, interest rate beside each one. You are going to pay the highest interest rate first, month 3. The savings account has $940 in it, not $340, $940. You check it more than you need to, not from anxiety, from evidence. Month 6. The first credit card is paid off, $1,800, gone. You screenshot the zero balance. You send it to nobody, but it means everything. Because for the first time and longer than you want to admit, a number moved in the right direction because of a decision you made. Month 9. You open an index fund with $500. The same $500 fear you felt about it 3 months ago is still there. You invest anyway. Fear and action are not opposites. They are traveling companions. Month 12. Savings, $3,600. 401k, $4,200 including employer match. Index fund, $620. Credit card debt, down $3,100. Net worth, $11,200. 11 months ago, it was $2,400. You haven't changed your income. You haven't gotten a windfall. You haven't done anything dramatic. You just started, consistently, without stopping. The fourth rule. At 40, starting from zero, the first year is not about the numbers. It is about the identity. Every automated transfer, every debt payment, every Friday you didn't touch the savings, you were not saving money. You were becoming a different person. The numbers are just the evidence. Chapter 5. The 40-year-old advantage. What the 22-year-old doesn't have. Everyone talks about what you've lost by starting at 40. The compounding years, the early contributions, the time that the 22-year-old has and you don't. They are right. Those years matter. Compounding over 40 years is different from compounding over 20 years, and you cannot get them back. But here's what you have that the 22-year-old doesn't. You know what you actually want. At 22, you were saving toward a vague future, a someday, a version of life you couldn't fully picture. The money was abstract because the goal was abstract. At 40, you know. You know what matters and what doesn't. You know which expenses are genuine needs and which ones were lifestyle inflation in disguise. You know the difference between the dinner that feeds connection and the dinner that fills emptiness. You know which subscriptions you actually use. You know which relationships cost you more than they give. This knowledge is not abstract. It is money. Wasted spending you can now identify and redirect. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, financial decision-making quality peaks in the mid to late 40s, not the 20s. Your brain at 40 is better at evaluating risk, resisting impulse, and making long-term trade-offs than your brain at 22 ever was. You are not starting late. You are starting with better equipment. The fifth rule. The 40-year-old who starts with clarity moves faster per dollar than the 22-year-old who starts with time. Chapter 6. The income problem. When the budget isn't the issue. There is a version of this story where budgeting harder is the answer, and there is a version where it isn't. At 40, you need to look honestly at both. If your income is $60,000 and your expenses are $48,000, you have $12,000 a year to work with. That is $1,000 a month. Invested consistently at 7% average annual return, that is $173,000 in 10 years. That is a different life at 50. But if your income is $38,000 and your expenses are $36,500, the problem is not the budget. The problem is the income. And cutting subscriptions will not solve a structural income gap. You need to be honest about which version you're in. If you're in the income gap, the answer is not frugality. The answer is income growth. A second skill, a certification, a promotion campaign that you've been too comfortable or too tired or too resigned to pursue. A side project that starts at $400 a month and grows. You are 40. You have 2 decades of professional experience. You know things that 25-year-olds don't know yet and won't know for years. That knowledge has market value that you may be significantly undercharging for. You are not starting from zero in skills, only in savings. The sixth rule. At 40, the most powerful financial move is often not cutting spending. It is correctly pricing what you already know how to do. The income gap is not a wall. It is a problem with a solution. Find the solution before you spend another year optimizing a budget that was never the constraint. Chapter 7. The Long Game. Age, 40 to 55. You are 43. Net worth, $67,000. 3 years ago, it was $2,400. You did not do anything extraordinary. You did the same ordinary things every month without stopping. You increased your income by $14,000 a year, not from a windfall, from a deliberate 3-year campaign of skill development. One certification, one well-timed conversation with the right person about what you were actually worth. You saved the raise, all of it, not because you didn't want things, because you wanted the machine more than you wanted the things. You are 46, net worth $134,000. Your 401k is $61,000. Your index fund portfolio is $48,000. Your savings account holds $11,000, 6 months of expenses, untouched, doing its quiet work as a buffer between you and the version of life where one emergency breaks everything. You are single. You have built this alone. Every automated transfer was your decision. Every month you didn't touch the portfolio was your decision. Every raise you saved instead of spent was your decision. Nobody helped. Nobody had to. You are 50. Net worth, $248,000. You are not where a person who started at 22 would be. You are where a person who started at 40 with clarity and consistency and a decade of compounding would be. And that person, that specific person, is doing fine. More than fine. You run the projections. At current trajectory, you retire at 62 with $680,000. Not $2 million, not the number that starts at 22 and runs for 40 years, but $680,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate is $27,200 a year. Combined with Social Security, which at your earnings history pays approximately $18,000 a year at 62, you have $45,200 a year. You need $38,000 a year to live the life you actually want. The math works. Not perfectly. Not in the way it would have worked if you'd started at 22, but it works. And it works because you started at 40 instead of 41, instead of 45, instead of never. The 7th rule: the late start does not disqualify you. It requires you to be more deliberate, more consistent, more honest about the income side of the equation. But deliberate, consistent, and honest are not advantages exclusive to people who started young. They are available at any age, including yours. Chapter 8. The real cost of waiting. The only number that actually matters. You could have started at 38. You didn't. You could have started at 35 when you knew you should. When the article said you should. When the voice in the back of your mind said you should. You didn't. Not because you were foolish. Not because you didn't care. Because life was complicated and the emergency was always more urgent than the future. And the future was always far enough away to begin tomorrow. Tomorrow has a compound interest too. Every year you wait at 40 costs more than every year you waited at 30. Because at 40, the remaining runway is shorter, and each year represents a larger percentage of what's left. Waiting 1 year at 40 costs you approximately $47,000 in final portfolio value at 62. Not $4,700, $47,000 for 1 year of waiting. This is not said to punish you. It is said to make the decision to start today feel as urgent as it actually is. Because the real cost of this conversation, the one happening right now, tonight, you and this screen, is not the years you've already lost. Those are gone. You cannot compound the past. The real cost is what you do after this. Do you close the app and think about it? Or do you open the brokerage account tonight? The final rule. The best time to start was 20 years ago. The second best time generates $47,000 more than the third best time. And the third best time generates $47,000 more than the fourth. Every version of starting is better than every version of waiting. Start tonight. $340. That's where you were. A Tuesday night apartment, a banking app, a number that didn't change no matter how many times you refreshed it. You are 40. You are single. You started from zero. And somewhere between that Tuesday and this one, you built something. Not perfect, not what the 22-year-old could have built, not what the couple with two incomes built. Something else entirely. Something built alone, deliberately, clearly, without anyone at the kitchen table to agree or disagree or soften the math. Something that is entirely, completely, irrevocably yours. The machine doesn't care that you started late. It doesn't ask your age. It doesn't ask your relationship status. It doesn't ask what the number was before. It opens every morning and takes whoever shows up. You showed up, at 40, from 0, alone, and the machine started running. It always does.